Um, my name is Pete Bernard. I'm with Microsoft. I'm the Surface lead for education. I work with the account teams that work with your school districts, and I focus exclusively on Surface and exclusively in education. And I'm going to be talking to you today about our Surface line of devices. If I see some of them out there, but so I'm just going to go over what we have. I'll keep it informal. If you have any questions, you can stop me in the middle. I brought some devices with me. If you want to put your hands on them, feel free to walk up and do what you want. I'll give you the passwords to get into them, if I can remember them. 2 of them I don't have to. But in any case, I'll share with you this. This is the original sketch that the Microsoft engineers put together when they started thinking about what they wanted the device to do. So, in thinking about Microsoft was not early to the game when it came to devices, right? There were lots of them out there, but they were thinking about the market, and then we wanted to create a device that folks can work on, they can draw on, and they can read. And what we found is that we needed to develop a family of devices that will help people do more, right? We're finding that the Surface is loved by users because it enables them to do all of the things that they might do on a laptop, as well as many of the things that folks might do on a tablet. It's trusted by organizations because it's secure and it's manageable, which we find very important in the field of education, and allows you to deliver the best of Microsoft with Windows, with Microsoft Office, and things like Microsoft Azure. So we're very thrilled about Surface. We're very thrilled about what went into the device. And I think when we think about Surface, we like to think of the 5 reasons why we find people are digging the Surface. And it has been very successful for us. It's the most versatile device out there. You notice like what was built into this device, a lot of innovation that's just not out there. You'll see on the kickstand on the Surface Pro 4, this kickstand will lock into will stay in any position that the user likes it to be in, right? So if you want the device to be flat on a desk so that there's not obtrusive between you and the person you're talking to, you could lay it flat, or you could put it into an angle that's straight up like a laptop. It just has a great deal of versatility. Some other things that are built into the device that makes it very versatile is this hinge on the keyboard. If you notice, most devices that are out there, even laptops, the keyboard remains flat, which means that your hand has to go in an unnatural position to type on the keyboard. With this hinge, it allows the keyboard to go up on an angle, and like I said, it'll be out there. You can put your hands on it, but you get a much more ergonomically and user-friendly position to type on. The Surface gives exceptional performance. So we have in the Surface line with the Surface 3, you have an Atom processor. In the Surface Pro line and the Surface Book, you have i5 and i7 processors, which are in the Surface Book, it's a Core M processor. So very versatile, very rugged, great performance. I said earlier it's business ready, right? So it'll allow you to manage it like you would other workstations in your environment, and secure to protect your data. And then you have Windows technology, which I'll talk a little bit about, built into the device. When we think about Surface, these are our 2 models, our lightest Surface, which is the Surface 3, and then our Surface Pro 4 on the right side. We like to think of the Surface as the perfect device for folks that want the functionality and the portability of a tablet, but they want the productivity of a laptop. And I share this story with folks. I've been with Microsoft for 3 years now. Prior to working for Microsoft, I was an education account executive with Apple. And I was at Apple way before the iPad came out, but when the iPad came out, I was thrilled. It was very cool. People started calling me versus me calling them to buy things from. But what happened was I got this device, which was great to read my news on and look at photos, but my workflow didn't lend itself to working on a tablet. So what happened to me is I had my phone and my laptop, and I had a tablet, which became my companion device. I just had 3 devices to carry around. And we see the Surface Unfortunately, today I'm carrying like 4 devices, right? Because I have all the surfaces. But as you can see, the Surface is really the Surface line is really the line of devices that allow you to do everything that you could do on a tablet, as well as everything that you might do on a workstation. And I would even venture to say, I know in my instance, I have a docking station, and my Surface is my only device. It's replaced my iPad, it's replaced my laptop, and it's replaced my desktop as well, because I get all of that connectivity through that device. The Surface, when originally introduced, it was absolutely, targeted or focused on the consumer model, right? Like, one of the only places to buy it initially was from the Microsoft Store. But we're evolving. We've been in the game. There are 6 generations of Surface that are out there, but we're adding a lot of enterprise features that make it more compatible with institutions deploying the device. So things like a refresh cycle every 12 to 18 months, right? So you can depend upon the device being in play for 12 to 18 months. We maintain an availability of former versions, so if you buy a device and it has a warranty on it, you'll be able to replace it with the same device, or we have the ability to give you an updated device or a similar device. We also have a number of new warranties, like Complete for Business, which will eventually become Complete for Education. That includes accidental damage on the device, up to 2 incidences for coverage of 3 years with no deductible to the students. So we're building in these enterprise features to make the device more compatible to one-to-one initiatives and school initiatives that are in place. Again, going back to why customers prefer, before we look forward, I'll take a look back at the Surface Pro 3, and what we found is, folks loved the fact that it was versatile, that it was a well-performing machine, a great, brilliant display with 3:2 aspect ratio, the pen and OneNote integration, and then the fact that it runs Windows and Office apps, and the docking station. Like, we think that was a lot to bring to the table. The game changer is what happened with the pen. And we call it a pen because some people refer to it incorrectly as a stylus. Like, a lot of research and innovation went into developing this device because they wanted to really have the look and feel of a pen. So when you hold this in your hand, it's going to resemble a fountain pen. And other styluses, or styli, is that actually the word? Right? So this is what many a stylus might look like when you're writing on a tablet, right? Versus what looks like on a Surface. You get very pressure sensitive, palm canceling technology that really resembles a fine writing instrument. I mean, so much so when you press on the device, that your line will get thicker, and when you come off, it'll get lighter. So when you're doing things like writing in other languages or calligraphy or things like that, the device will most resemble how you're working with an ink device. And like I said, these are up here. You can feel free to test it and try it out for yourself. Get rid of that. So that was the Surface Pro 3. We're going to take a look at the Surface Pro 4, right? So this has been out for a little while, so it's a little bit late on introduction, but just a great device. It's faster, it's quieter, it's 30% faster than the Surface Pro 3. It's 60% faster than the current MacBook that's out there. Just a brilliant, bright display. It has Intel Core Skylake processors in the M, i5, and i7. A brilliant screen display. You'll notice that the Surface Pro 4 is the same dimensions as a Surface Pro 3. So what we did was we reduced the size of the bezel to give you more screen. We eliminated the Windows button, so you have more real estate on the screen, and just I think a really better design. Those same features I talked about, being the kickstand being customizable to every place, that same hinge in the keyboard, really gave it a nice job. You get it's thinner. I should put that point out there. The speakers in the Surface Pro 4 are 40% louder than the Surface Pro 3, so you're using any kind of multimedia, it's really helpful. You get the 8 megapixel autofocus rear camera and 5 megapixel high definition front camera, so you can do things like HD Skype connectivity for when you're using it in the classroom. It has the login, the Windows Hello camera in the front. And the other thing that I think really distinguishes our solutions from the others out there is USB 3 connectivity, right? So when you're in an environment where you want to leverage your existing investment in technologies, we have the full USB port on the device to allow you to use things like cameras and printers and things like that. And that's something, the device would actually be thinner if we did away with USB 3, but we found that our market really needs to have that USB 3 capabilities. The other changes in the Surface Pro 4 line is that we changed the keyboard. So if some of you folks, I saw some devices out there, wasn't sure what it was, but the Surface Pro 3 had this type of keyboard where they were not raised, right? So we heard a lot of feedback from our customers. We made the keys raised on this, right? So it more resembles like a keyboard, right? So I think a lot of people enjoy that. Plus we made the trackpad 40% larger. We also make a trackpad with a fingerprint reader on it, right? So enhanced security on the device, and all of those things are now available on the Surface line, all of them that are out there. It's thinner and lighter than the previous model, and real nice compatibility. If any folks were using a Surface before, you notice we had the round pen with 2 buttons on it, and our customers told us that they didn't like how that you would tap that button by mistake. So we eliminated the buttons, right? So the buttons were down here. They're now gone. We made the button feature up on the top, right? So when you hit the button up on the top, your OneNote will open. You can click it twice to do a screenshot. We've also made it an eraser, right? So which is pretty cool. So you can, similar to how you would use, it's a pen with an eraser. It's kind of strange, but you can now flip the device over and erase what you were writing. And some folks were, we found some folks said it's not really realistic, but when we had somebody actually writing on something and then going to erase it, we saw them actually kind of brush the dust away. So we think we're on the right track with this pen, with the Surface Pen, and we encourage you to try it out there. It comes in different colors, and it magnetizes to the side of the device, so there's no more loops or anything. When you need to put it away, you can just attach it right onto the side of the device. We also made some changes to the dock, right? So if any of you folks were using the device before, the Surface Pro 3 sat in a dock, and then you close it on the sides. So this is now the dock. It has 2 mini HDMI ports on it that are capable of driving up to 2 4K displays. So it has a great deal of power. It's weighted, so if you wanted to plug in any of the 4 USB ports onto the device, it won't slide off the desk. And it allows you to use the Surface like you were using the Surface as a portable device. So you can, in the former dock, it just remained on your desk and just sat there. So now this dock allows you to take your device, put it on your lap, lay it flat, take advantage of the kickstand. It's just, I think, a better innovation onto the device. You can use this dock with the Surface Pro 3, the Surface Pro 4, and the Surface Book if need be. You can. So, just to take a step back, so we have the 2 devices here, the Surface 3, I'm going to show you a little bit more about that, and the Surface Pro 4, both excellent devices for replacing a laptop and replacing a tablet. I'll take you a little bit into a couple of things about the Surface 3 that I think are very relevant to education, right? So this is our thin, light, ultra-mobile device, 10.8-inch screen with great resolution, a full 10 hours of battery life. You only get 3 positions on the kickstand, but that's part of the sacrifice. We weren't able to put that hinge into this device. You get the same camera, the 8 megapixel camera and the 5 megapixel forward facing camera on this device, and it is available in an LTE version. So if you have an instance where you might need to be in the field and need wireless connectivity, not from Wi-Fi, you have the LTE capabilities. It's 8.7 millimeters thin, and it still has that USB 3.0 port on it, so it makes it very usable in an environment to take advantage of what you have in place. It will start to ship actually this month with the Surface 4 pen, right? So the round pen goes away altogether. All of the pens have that same capability, and it will have that same button feature on the eraser that'll open up OneNote. A couple of other things about that. Has mini USB port on the top. Micro USB for charging, which I think is a game changer. You know, if you think about in education, I've worked in laptops initiatives in education for years. Usually on day 2, the first thing that goes is the power supply, right? Somebody ran over with a bicycle, it got stuck in a car door or whatever. We now use micro USB for charging, right? Those cables usually cost about, I don't know, CDW want to say what a USB cable might cost, but very interchangeable. It's the same port that you use on a cell phone, but just I think really making the device for when you're deploying large scale or many devices, really making it favorable to the enterprise environment because it's cost effective. While it's an Atom processor, it still runs has all of the security and management capabilities of any other Windows device that might be out there. So things like management and security and all those things that you might have in place, you can make it a fully domain joined device and manage it remotely. The built-in security tools that are in Windows 10 make it, I think, a really ideal low-cost Windows device that allows you, well, let's say medium cost, because now you have devices out there that are, a couple $100s. But it really is, I think, a nice addition to our product line. So if you look at the Surface lineup, right, so I told you the Surface 3 and the Surface Pro 4, right, Surface 3, I think it's a nice companion device. If you're comfortable with your laptop and you wanted a new Windows tablet, it's a great 2-in-1 productivity device. We think that it beats out the iPad because it runs desktop software and has the USB port on it. The Surface Pro 4 with a larger 12.3-inch display, that extra processing power. If you have that kind of workflow that requires that kind of horsepower, it's great to have it in there. It's thinner and lighter and more versatile than many of the devices that are out there. And then we have the Surface Book, which is the new latest and greatest. And I didn't see one of those out there. I do have it with me. So we like to think of the Surface Book, while it's on the higher echelon of price point. It does have the latest Intel Skylake processors, up to 16 gigs of RAM. You get a full 12 hours of battery life. Dolby speakers and 5 megapixel front camera, 8 megapixel rear autofocus rear cameras. This is literally like, this is our workhorse. Most of them purchased are in the i7 category, while it does come in i5. It'll run Photoshop, AutoCAD, the full pen interface. Just a real nice addition. One of the things the way that I set up, this is a demo device. So I have it using Windows Hello to log me in. They are. And it also works fully as a tablet, right? So you get 3 hours of battery life with it like this. If you're using it for a long period of time as a tablet, you can reconnect it like this and fold it down so you can get the full 12 hours of battery life. So there's battery in the base and there's battery in the display as well. So separate, you get 3 hours in the tablet, fully functioning touch, and in the base you get the full 12 hours of battery life. So it works real nice like that. I think I just talked through my whole next slide, right? So you get the full graphics GPU, a laptop with integrated keyboard and trackpad, meticulously crafted and ultra thin. We think it's our absolutely most robust as well as most versatile device that's out there. They do have the ability to add a USB the USB port or an SD card to expand your memory, and then it has the same connectivity as the former devices with the USB 3 port. Again, the camera in the front giving it the capability of running Windows Hello, the pen functionality that's in the other devices. So I think that our Surface lineup, I think, is probably the best that it's ever been so far. And with the addition of our enterprise solutions like the warranties that are out there, I think it really makes it a good enterprise solution for our customer base. So, when we think about, the lineup, our Surface Book is absolutely the workhorse of the line, and I encourage you to take a look at it. But really great solutions in our Surface Pro 4 and our Surface Pro 3. I think Melissa may have talked earlier, but I do want to talk a minute about our Complete for Business. I said this is going to evolve into Complete for Education, but this is a warranty you can buy on each device. It'll give you. You can talk to CDW about pricing. It extends your hardware coverage for 3 years. It'll cover 2 incidents of accidental damage with no deductible. So if you have an instance where it's dropping, the screen cracks or anything like that, you'll have 2 incidents of accidental damage. And then you're entitled to one-on-one support and setup from any of our Microsoft technical resources via the phone or in the Microsoft Store. And this is just this last one. I know it's a little bit of an eye chart, but it's just so you can see. That's our lineup, all of the configurations, all of the way, you can't buy it and upgrade it, so you have to buy it the way that you want it. But you can see these are the devices side by side with all of the capabilities built in. They are all touchscreen. One point to mention is if you're in an environment that's not Windows 10 yet, the only device you can buy let's just put it, the Surface Book and the Surface Pro 4 only run Windows 10 or better, and the Surface 3 will run Windows 8.1 or previous versions of Windows. So that's just a point that everyone should be aware of. 7 or 8, correct. You can't, but you can image them and you can do it yourself. Questions, thoughts, snide comments, remarks? All right, like I said, feel free. The devices are here. I appreciate your time today. I hope that was insightful, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.